Hello and welcome to another Dragonstorm Studios video. And today we're going to be talking a bit about perspective. Now, perspective is arguably one of the more difficult parts about art because there is a lot of complexity to it. So we're going to be breaking things down into smaller, more manageable chunks. So today all we're going to talk about is how perspective affects your art, the background, and what you see in the picture essentially. So the original piece of art that this drawing is based on is called Whisper Agent by Alexandre Deruchenko. Mr. Deruchenko has done some amazing work for Magic the Gathering in the past. I'm reminded mostly recently of Bartered Cow from Eldraine and Emissary of Sunrise from Ixalan. But his work is always very dynamic, very fluid, very interesting looking. And so here's my take on it. I've changed things a little bit. I've also zoomed in quite a bit on the picture simply because I find that if I draw it too small, then I lose an awful lot of detail. Another thing we need to keep in mind when it comes to the amazing range of value we can put in our drawings is that very often that comes at a price. So if you look at the previous page of my sketchbook, you can really see how much smudging has occurred here from when I drew this picture last night. And that does take a toll. So you need to be very careful when you're working with such dark tones in your artwork. But I love how those tones have created some amazing contrast in this work. So I'm using my trusty paper here, and I've also got a ruler to help me out. So in the background, you can see I've got some buildings of Ravnica. It's night out, so you've got just some impressions of glowing points of light from windows. And you've got some spires over here, and maybe in the background, some rolling hills. It is Sound Ravnica, so I'm going to pretend that that's part of the Selesnya Conclave, perhaps. But it means that my horizon line's way up here, the line that divides the sky from the ground, because we're quite high up in the air. As a result, we're going to be placing our vanishing point, which is a place where all lines will digress to, right about here. So I'm just going to put a little mark on my page to give me a place of reference for all of my lines. Now, unfortunately, his hand is off the page, but he's gripping onto a ledge. And that ledge is going to be our first line here. I'm just going to work around my tripod. And if we assume that his hand is kind of up here off the screen, then that ledge he's holding on to, we can just kind of make it out here perhaps, and it goes back to the edge of that building. And there's our first line. So important to keep in mind that that horizon line represents our eye level. That's what we're looking at, which is why we can see so much below the horizon line because we're up in the air looking down at Ravnica at night. So that ledge we can add some thickness to. And again, I'm lining my ruler up with that dot, that vanishing point. And this will show the bottom part of the ledge he's holding on to. So we're going to make a fairly thin ledge. He's quite the rogue, able to scale this building to achieve his mark. So there we have the ledge. Now the ledge is going to stick out from that building a little bit. So we're doing some architecture as well in our video here. That ledge sticks out from the building. And then, now let me just get my lines there on the right spot. And then we're going to be able to see the bottom of that ledge as well, working up at it after all. And that's going to be one of the other key concepts here. Anything that's above the horizon line, we're looking up at. Anything below the horizon line is something we're looking down at. And that's another important thing to keep in mind when we're dealing with perspective. So here's my ledge. I'm going to have it end here. I'm actually going to shade the entire ledge because that's quite dark there. My eraser can't get rid of all of that beautiful darkness in the sky. So I'll put some shading here. Actually, I'm going to make my shading kind of go up and down here. Since that's the ledge, that's the height of the ledge. And then the thickness of the ledge, I'll actually have it kind of going toward the horizon line as well. A bit more angular. And it's going to be darker as well since it's away from that moon. In fact, I might even have to worry about which direction I'm going is going to be too dark to see the lines. So there's the thickness of that ledge that he's holding on to. I'm going to finish up over here. And then that ledge itself is also going to be casting a shadow below here. So we can already kind of see how perspective has helped us problem solve a little bit. And even the shadow is going to have greater width closer to us than farther away from us. So I'm going to be darkening this whole area here. So as things get closer to us, they're getting a bit wider, a bit larger, which makes sense. That's how life works. And I'll start adding some other details and some features here and there. We'll see how that turns out. All right, so we have some balconies and some porticos now. Even though we have a little bit of battle damage and cracks here and there. I think overall I made things a little on the small side, although these here are supposed to be decorations, not windows. But I'm happy with that. I've always found perspective to be almost like a safety net. It's a great way of adding information and visuals in without having to worry too much about what it is you're doing, because the details kind of fill themselves in. So I hope you found that useful and interesting as a way of introducing the concept of perspective. If you have any questions particularly or things you want me to cover about perspective in particular, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, sharing with people who are like-minded such as yourself, and if you like the videos, consider giving the channel a subscription. I'd really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time.